Hi, welcome to Fox Valley in Focus. I'm your host, Barb Nadeau, and today we're talking about holiday giving and the season of giving and ways you can make a difference in your community. We have three unique stories, and our guests include Kyle Wallace for the Franklin Mall Project, Rich Healy for Plano's Rockin' Christmas Corporation, and Jennifer Gilbert for CASA Kendall County. We'll get started right after this.
Their support changed my life.
They were like family.
My voice is now heard.
A home for every animal.
My future is bright because they cared.
This is our home now.
Thank you to the 1,200 nonprofits that serve Cass and Clay counties every day.
Kyle Wallace is our first guest today. Kyle is representing the Franklin Mall Project, and this is a project, Kyle, that is really near and dear to your heart, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Tell us a little bit about how it got started.
Well, it all started with my grandfather, Franklin Mall. Many years ago, he worked at the dairy, the Open Dairy in Sandwich, and he would get money for gas to go to these different dairies to check out the dairies and make sure the milk is sanitized and in good standing. But he would save that extra money that he would get for the gas, and he would during the year, he would buy groceries for some people that he knew that were not so well off, and he would buy a grocery cart full of groceries for this family and push it up to the house and just surprise everybody. And he did that for a few years, and then he got to where this was in the late 50s, early 60s, but then it got to where he was a little older and he couldn't do that, and he was a member of the Lions Club. He was a charter member in 1949 that started the Sandwich Lions Club. And my father, Ron Wallace, passed away in 2013, was a member too, and Franklin, my grandfather, asked my dad to help him with these groceries one time, and my dad said, well, why don't we just take it to the Lions Club and see if have everybody help and make it a project for the Lions Club. So
your grandfather was Franklin Mall.
Yes.
Hence the Franklin Mall Project.
Yes.
And from those humble beginnings, the Sandwich Lions Club has really made a huge difference. How many families last year did you touch?
Well, there are two basic projects for the Franklin Mall. One is groceries, that we give a box of groceries to a family in need, and the other is cheer baskets, where we put over 400, so 350 to 400 people that are alone on Christmas Eve. Santa will come visit them and give them a cheer basket or a plate of cookies with some candies in it, and that's all the nursing homes and the hospitals and in the Sandwich area. So there's 400, and then there's probably 150 to 200 boxes that so we're talking 600 different families that are being touched by this every year.
It really is amazing.
Yes.
So these boxes of groceries to this 150 or so families in need, these are families with mom, dad, maybe who knows how many kids in the household, and they just don't have enough. They don't have enough. How do you identify? Well,
that is the hard part. When Sandwich was smaller, it was much easier. But it's all through referrals and phone calls, and that's how it's done. Is basically somebody would call with somebody that they know, or several people that you know that they could refer to us, and when they go on the list, and that's all it is. Word of mouth. Still, it's kind of tough these days, but since we have been growing in the past 20 years, but. That's how we get all the names, and that's how we know who to go to.
It's just an amazing story that for over 50 years, Franklin Mall's name and the Franklin Mall project has continued to grow and give and
Yes.
give and give in such a simple way,
Right.
and here making such a huge impact for the holidays. When
Yes.
do the families receive this basket?
Well, the food baskets, or the food boxes actually, it's actually this year will be on the 21st of December, so it's the week
Right
prior
before Christmas.
Christmas. And the cheer baskets come Christmas Eve with Santa every year.
Just doing that and
dress up as
going
Santa.
out of your way at the height of the holiday
Right.
busyness for your volunteers to do this. This is
Correct.
wonderful.
And with the box of groceries is a food gift certificate from Arts for whatever we can afford that year as far as donations go, but generally it's $20, $30, $40, so that they can go in and buy what they need if they need it on top of the food box.
Now, how can we donate to this project? Where are the collection bins for food products?
Yes, there are 22 sites for the groceries in Sandwich, and some of them have two tubs. They're plastic tubs. We used to have boxes, and now the plastic tubs are much easier to handle. But anyway, you'll see them. They'll have right on the side Franklin Mall or Lions Club Franklin Mall Christmas Project, and the red. And there are 22 sites in the Sandwich area that we put them in. We put them in the hospital, we put them in the grocery stores and YMCAs and pretty much everywhere.
Any
in
business that
Yes.
would want one? And
Correct.
how do they get a hold of you if they want to put a bin out for your project?
Well,
Or
we-
even to donate money or to
Yes.
volunteer?
Sure. Well, to donate money, we have a box at the mailbox. It's box 32 in the Sandwich there. It's Sandwich U.S. Mail. Or you can go to the First National Bank in Sandwich, the one downtown, and there's somebody in there that will help you with the Franklin Mall donations. Somebody there's specified just for that.
What
Franklin Mall
about
project.
volunteering to help? Do you
Yes.
need volunteers?
Well, sure, we can actually help. We had Boy Scouts help. We've had a lot of people from the surrounding areas will show up. We pack the groceries. There's a giant room full of groceries that we have to separate the different beans and the canned goods and the packaged goods, and they can help that we pack them on the 21st of December at the Sandwich Fire Department. They can come down and help us with that. That would be great. That would be very helpful because it takes a lot of bodies to make the boxes and then put all the canned goods in and then separate them out and take them all in a certain spot. And then the Lions Club members deliver them the following Saturday. That's a Thursday. The following Saturday, that Los Lions Clubs will deliver them Saturday morning, by 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. So, got different routes that we go to and stuff. So,
And you're the chairman of the cheer basket?
cheer baskets, yes.
Okay.
Yes, we make up. Every year we make up 400 of these cheer baskets, and they have homemade cookies and candies that people bring and donate, and we keep them in a freezer. And all these homemade candies go to all these different people, and we deliver. Santa delivers them on Christmas Eve.
If you want to know who Santa is, you need to get to know Kyle Wallace. Kyle, this is just a fascinating story and so sweet. Thank you for sharing it here on
No
our show
problem.
today.
No problem.
We'll take a real quick break. We'll be back with more right after this. Rich Healy joins us now. Rich, you are the president of the Plano Rockin' Christmas Corporation, similar in nature to the Franklin Mall project we just heard about, but a little bit different too, because you kind of have a little bit of a festival atmosphere going on with your event.
That's correct. We have a 3-day event beginning December 1st, running through December 3rd. It's a Friday in the evening, well actually it's late afternoon, when the whole festivities kick off. The important thing is, I know that the name of the event is a little misleading when we talk about Rockin' Christmas. All goes back to when it originated. There is a large rock at the train depot dedicated to Harry Newport. And Harry was the clown prince of Plano. Every festival, every event, Harry would dress up as a clown and be part of the parade. And they dedicated that rock in his name, and then out of that came the idea of what can we do around the holidays to bring some cheer to some families in need. And the then mayor, Bill Roberts, and a few of the staff sat in his office one day and sort of toyed with that idea and came up with the idea of putting together one food box, identifying one family when putting together one food box. And out of that grew the entire Rockin' Christmas celebration, which has reached its peak now, where we're providing food boxes for over 300 per year. These are families with children, these are senior citizens. So we usually cap it between 3 and 325. A lot of that depends on the amount of donations we receive, both in the non-perishable food items and then the monetary donations as well.
So yours is a lot earlier in December. It's the first weekend of December, and that's when it all comes together in that 1 3-day period.
That's correct.
Okay, so you collect?
We start collecting non-perishable food items on the 1st of November, and we do that for a month. And we have drop-off sites. The area banks participate. The churches run their own collection. We have the schools are involved as well. So there are a variety of places people can drop off non-perishable food items. Even the Plano Library is involved. They do all the fines that they collect during the month of November. That money is turned over to Rockin' Christmas for the purchase of the perishable food items. Because each food box, in addition to the non-perishable food items, will receive either a turkey or a ham, milk, butter, and then we also put in a box of stuffing as well. And so those items we purchase with the monetary donations we receive.
So they'll be able to receive something that they'll be using right away, but then also the fixings for that holiday meal later on in the month.
That's correct.
Now, you collect it all that evening, Friday evening at the depot. How much do you collect? Seems to be, I remember, dump truck full of food.
Yes, we do. Yeah, we're several dump trucks. The city employees are outstanding in helping. They go around to the drop-off sites, pick up the food, and actually transport it down to Centennial School. And that's where the sorting takes place, is at Centennial. So after the festivities on Friday kicks off at 5 o'clock with a parade. And then at 5:30, we have a musical venue at the depot. It's usually Emily G. John's Intermediate School Band. They perform. And then at 6 o'clock, we'll do the traditional tree lighting and then the awarding of the Ross Greider Memorial Spirit Award, which is a recognition of an individual or organization that represents the spirit of Christmas 24/7 all year long. And once that is finished, then we stay at the depot until midnight so people can still drop off non-perishable food items at the depot. But others go on down to Centennial and start doing the sorting. They sort all of the food and have it ready so that on Saturday, then at 8 o'clock, from 8 to 10, we normally have coffee with the mayor at the depot, but this year we're doing something a little bit different. It's going to be coffee with the alderman. And that again gives people an opportunity to drop off non-perishable food items. and then we go on down to Centennial and actually box up the boxes and get them all ready. We lay them out in the hallway and they're all addressed. So the thing that's important is that the people only know the street address. There are no names attached to the boxes, so that that's kept in confidentiality. So the only people that know the actual names and number of whether adults and children in the household are the committee members. And then what we do then is, once that's all done, then on Sunday is delivery day. At 11 o'clock, we start delivering the boxes, and at that time, we bring the milk and butter and the turkeys and hams out of the freezer and the cooler and put them with the boxes, and then they go out and deliver the boxes.
Having the festival atmosphere on Friday night and then having the way you work this whole thing out, you need a lot of volunteers, but I see that you're getting a lot of response from the Plano community, different groups that want to help, maybe scout groups or 4-H groups, church groups. That's pretty nice. But if you want to volunteer and you've never been involved, how hard is it to jump in and become part of it?
It's very simple. They can either call City Hall at 630-552-8275 and talk to Kathy Miller, and she'll take their name and when they can volunteer, whether it be Friday night, Saturday, or Sunday. Or they can call the Plano Chamber office at 630-552-7272 and do the same, volunteer whatever time they can. The important thing is bringing the community together to help bring some joy to the lives of families that are less fortunate, seniors that are less fortunate in the holiday times. Because between Thanksgiving and Christmas, you know, everybody's very festive, but we forget about the people that are in need. And so this is an opportunity for the community and groups from outside the community to volunteer and roll up their sleeves and provide for those families.
I think it's really sweet. It's a great way to start the month of December, to be part of this and to be part of any bit that you can give, you know, to whether it's helping to box up and just to experience and understand what goes into each box, or it's taking and grabbing some of those boxes in a neighborhood that you're familiar with, a street that you're familiar with, and say, oh, I know, we can go to this one, this one, this one, and filling up your car and doing the distribution. But I also like the festivities on Friday night.
Yeah, it gives us an opportunity to marry the two together so that you have some holiday festivities as well as not losing the whole concept of what Christmas is about. Christmas is about giving. And so, you know, I see it as a perfect marriage between the two. And so it continues to grow. We get more people involved. You know, it's just a feel-good experience. I've seen men who are, you know, the tough exterior brought to tears in delivering the boxes to the families because of the way they respond.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for the story and for being part of Plano's Rockin' Christmas. And it's just a joy to see our small towns, you know, our growing cities just continue the spirit of giving to each other. So thank you so much for being on the show today, Rich.
Thank you for having me.
We'll take a quick break and we'll be back with Jennifer Gilbert right after this.
Their support changed my life.
They were like family.
My voice is now heard.
A home for every animal.
My future is bright because they cared.
This is our home now.
Thank you to the 1,200 nonprofits that serve Cass and Clay counties every day.
Their support changed my life.
They were like family.
My voice is now heard.
A home for every animal.
My future is bright because they cared.
This is our home now.
Thank you to the 1,200 nonprofits that serve Cass and Clay counties every day.
Jennifer Gilbert is the Executive Director of CASA Kendall County, and she joins us now to tell us about their needs. Jennifer, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
It's an interesting thing because at this time of year, everybody wants to make an impact in someone else's life. But you have a very compelling story, a totally different story from what we've heard. Can you tell us, what is CASA?
Yes, CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocate. What it is we are appointed by the Kendall County court system to represent every child in Kendall County that comes into either the foster care system or the family court system as a result of abuse or neglect that has happened at the hands of their parents or primary caregivers.
So these are children in need.
Yes.
What does a child need in that situation? What does a CASA volunteer do?
Well, what we do is we provide them dedicated advocacy. These children come into the system and they're small and their voices tend to not be heard. So a CASA volunteer becomes sort of that one caring adult. They get to know the child personally. We visit in the homes, teachers, doctors, any professionals and important people in the child's life so that we can paint a picture to the court of the child's life and their best interest and their needs.
So that volunteer actually becomes part of that child's life intimately. You said they go and visit their home, see them there, see them at school, and then actually go into court with them as well.
Yes, the critical part of our role as CASA and GAL in this county is to provide a written and detailed report outlining recommendations as to what that child needs, whether it's therapy, educational needs, return home versus adoption type placements.
Do you need to be like a lawyer, or do you need special education to do this?
No, what a CASA volunteer is our everyday citizens, common sense adults with a passion for children. So there's no right or wrong profession or background. My volunteers now come from every walk of life, from farmers to restaurant workers to professionals of all kinds. It's just adults who want to make a difference.
What are you seeing in your office at CASA Kendall County as far as the children who are coming to you?
We're getting an alarming rate of new cases. In 2016, we only saw 6 new children come into care last year. And as of right now this year, we are at 20 new children in care. Rising incidences of mental health crisis and the opioid crisis are driving in more neglect cases. We see far more of that than your abuse cases per se. But
that's over a 3-time increase in 1 year. Yeah. And here in Kendall County, we don't want to think that about our county. That's really surprising that it would grow that fast, and that's really sad.
It's a tough statistic to swallow, and it's creating a really critical need for volunteers and funding. We do have to, all CASAs are volunteers, and we're only a staff of 2, and so the goal of CASA is to have 1 volunteer to 1 child. So to meet that need, we are going to have to increase both our volunteer base and our funding base so that we can obviously take care of those volunteers and kids.
Now you're making a big initiative for Giving Tuesday, and we want to talk about that, but when you talk about funding base, when you bring in funds, what are the funds used for?
The funds are going to be used to meet the needs set forth by National CASA for both staffing and oversight of our volunteers, and then to provide those advocates. What we do at CASA is, unlike some other organizations that give food or clothes or things directly, we give a person, we give the caring adult. So we have to make sure that these people are trained, that they are supported so that they can be there. The average CASA case will last 18 months to 3 years, so we really have to make sure that our volunteers are highly supported and feel that they can continue in this role for a long period of time.
When you're a CASA volunteer and you have to go through the training process and then you become that child's advocate, and you say that you're looking at an extensive amount of months that they're involved in this child's life, how much of a commitment is that, maybe week by week or month by month? And how long is the training?
The training is initially 30 hours. It's 5 weeks in class. And then a couple hours spent at court observing how the court process works. And then we require 12 additional hours of training every year after that. As far as their monthly commitment, it could range from 3 hours a month to 10 hours a month. depending on what's happening in that case, how critical it is, and the location of the children. Most of our children don't get to remain in Kendall County if they're put into foster care. We have to drive sometimes to Chicago or as far as Indiana or downstate Illinois just to see them.
So it's definitely a doable thing to be a CASA volunteer, and you can work it into your schedule, but it's definitely something that's going to change your life because you are adding a whole new element to your life. And boy, you're going to learn a lot in the training, it sounds like.
Yeah, training is the most intensive portion of it. Once a volunteer gets through training, they pretty much get to set their own schedule and work around their own schedule. I have volunteers with full-time jobs and 3 to 5 kids at home, and they can manage to do it because I always say I don't think anyone doesn't have the time. It's whether you have the passion, because you'll find a way to make it happen if you have the passion.
So it's truly a volunteer effort that is going to make an impact on your heart and your life, in a very positive way, and also make a huge difference in the life of another individual, which is really something. But for those of us watching the show who are like, oh, I don't know enough about it, but I do want to give and I do want to help, Giving Tuesday is a great way to do it. So I know a little bit about Giving Tuesday. I know it's the Tuesday after Cyber Monday, and it's a chance to go from Black Friday to, consume. Well, let's turn around and give. So what are you doing for Giving Tuesday?
This year we're going to be pushing a big annual campaign. We've set a goal of $10,000, which is a little higher than we've ever shot for before. But with the need, we're trying to prepare for what we see happening over the next year. The biggest impact will be hopefully Giving Tuesday. There will be 2 ways to donate. You can go to our website at casakendallcounty.org, or you can follow us through Facebook at Casa Kendall County and be there, and you can click on a donate tab and donate. This year we want to see that $10,000 because we really want to be prepared in 2018 to recruit as many as 20 new volunteers, which would be, we only have about 36 now, so we're looking to extremely expand that volunteer base, and it's going to take a lot of resources and a lot of funds. So if people could get on board for our annual giving campaign, which will run from now till the end of the year, but we really want to set that goal for Giving Tuesday. We're looking for companies and businesses that would be willing to maybe match our funds for Giving Tuesday. So if there's any businesses out there that would like to match up to $1,000 or whatever we can raise on Giving Tuesday, that's how we would get to that number really fast.
Just doing the numbers in my head and listening to you talk and about how you had 6 and then now you've got 21 new cases and you have 36 volunteers, you can see how these volunteers have been involved in kids' lives for 2 or 3 years at a time, and that's growing. But just looking at what you're seeing as far as numbers, it's got to be kind of daunting and scary to think about what 2018 could bring and how important this is.
Yeah, we're trying to be ahead of the curve, obviously. We're training right now. We're actually in the middle of this training class with the 8 new volunteers that will put us at 36. But it is, when you look at it, over 2018, if this number continued to grow, we would have to have a volunteer base larger than we've ever seen. We would have to look at increasing staff for the first time to 3 because National CASA and Illinois State CASA do set requirements for professionally trained and skilled staff to monitor. Given what we're dealing with and that we're going into court making professional recommendations, there does have to be someone, paid staff there and available to train and properly oversee these cases. So we are looking at some lofty goals for 2018, and we're really going to need the community to rally around this. It takes a village. They're all our children. I don't think necessarily everyone realizes that these children are in every school with our children. They're on our teams, they're in our churches, and it's all of our responsibility to come together and take care of them.
Once again, Giving Tuesday is November 28th, and you can find a push button on your Facebook page and also on your website. Jennifer Gilbert is waiting to hear from you, and our children here are waiting to hear from you. And that's going to do it for our show. We want to make a difference in the lives of our neighbors, and we've given you 3 wonderful ways to do it. And we thank you for being with us here on Fox Valley in Focus. For Fox Valley Television, I'm Barb Nadeau.